Okay, welcome back. We are live. So today we're going to be going through a handful of stories. One, we're going to take a trip down memory lane where Barack Obama gives some advice that I wish the Democrats would be taking today. Back in 2013, he made a famous speech, and we're going to be playing that back. And you let me know what you think in the comment. Then we'll go on to see what the Democrats are still saying about the shutdown. Still trying to pawn it off as a Trump shutdown. And we're going to move on to a lot of other revelations about what they're actually asking for in order to reopen the government. We're going to see what happened. They claim that migrants, illegal migrants, aren't a burden on Medicaid. We're going to see some evidence that they actually are, and what took place over the last 4 years under the Biden administration. So strap in your seatbelts. Then there's this candidate for the House of Reps who was caught on camera obstructing the operations of the feds a few weeks back, and she's claiming that the prosecution that is being brought against her by the federal government is judicial persecution. And we'll see how she reacts when a real interview happens where she's being pushed, when there's pushback on some of the claims that she's making. All right, so we're going to be jumping right in now. While you're listening, please consider putting in your comments or your thoughts in the chat. We will be going through the stories sequentially, just like we discussed yesterday. And then at the end of all these stories, we're going to go through the comment section and your chat. So if you post a chat and you don't see me responding immediately to the chat, that isn't me ignoring you. That's just me respecting the fact that we had an agreement that this was what we were going to start doing. And I'll go from the very beginning and answer all of the comments and the chat at the end of the stories. So stick with me and we will get through this together. Once again, if you're new here, consider subscribing, liking, and sharing the video if you like what you hear, and if you like the mellow, down-to-earth way that we're going through the news. No sensationalism, no outrage. Some of us need to keep our heart rates at an even keel, so there's none of that outrage happening here. We're just going to look at the news, and then we'll give our thoughts on the news, and then you let me know your thoughts while we're going through this. All right, let's jump in. So here's Barack Obama in 2013 giving some beautiful, wise, sound advice that tell me in the comment section if you think the Democrats should be paying attention to this. Let's go.
The normal processes and procedures of a democracy.
Oh, sorry.
If Republicans do not like the law, they can go through the regular channels and processes to try to change it. That's why we have elections.
Yep.
So they can go through the normal processes and procedures of a democracy, but you do not threaten the full faith and credit of the United States of America. Shutting down the government just because you don't like a law that was passed. I have to say, no Congress before this one has ever in history been irresponsible enough to threaten an economic shutdown.
Well, I hope that the Democrats are listening to this, and I hope that they are as excited to promote this way of thinking for the current situation that they themselves are pushing. The Democrats have said, if you don't give us 1.3 trillion and walk back the bill, the one big, beautiful bill that we all voted on and signed off on, then we're not going to reopen the government. Barack Obama is talking to the Democrat Party here. Can't you hear him talking to them through the years and saying, hey guys, stop doing that?
To suggest America not pay its bills just to try to blackmail a president into giving them some concessions. I will not negotiate on anything when it comes to the full faith and credit of the United States of America. We're not going to submit to this kind of total irresponsibility. Congress needs to pay our bills on time. Congress needs to pass a budget on time. Congress needs to put an end to governing from crisis to crisis.
I agree. Don't you agree? Let me know in the chat. So, the Barack Obama, when it comes to the Democrats, they're really good at letting you know how things should be. And then when it's their turn to do things the way things should be, they decide to change the rules because they don't like the rules. Okay, so let's hear Hakeem Jeffries. All right, Hakeem Jeffries wants to be Obama, but he can't be Obama. He tries. Okay, we see you, Hakeem Jeffries. We see the efforts that you're trying to make, but you can't be Obama. So Caitlin Collins interviews him, asking him if, because they've been saying that the Republicans haven't reached out, the Republicans haven't tried to negotiate in order to reopen the government. Let's see if that's true.
Said that Mike Johnson's not willing to sit down and have a conversation. Y'all did have a phone conversation, I believe you said earlier today. Who initiated that call? Was that you or was that Speaker Johnson?
It was a call from Mike Johnson. It was very brief, and it wasn't a substantive discussion in terms of finding a path forward.
Come on. First of all, you say they're not willing to sit and have a conversation. And then when you're caught out on that lie, you try to water it down to say it wasn't that substantive. But so who reached out? The people you say don't want to negotiate, the people you say don't want to talk about a middle ground where that works for the American people to reopen the government. No, you're trying to water down the impact of the fact that, one, you lied, and second, you're trying to say that that call wasn't important. Mike Johnson is a busy guy. He wouldn't be calling you to find out when the next episode of your favorite TV show will be airing. That's not, if you say something isn't substantive, but it was a business call, okay, it was the Congress business that was being discussed, it is substantive. So Hakeem Jeffries, yet again, trying to deflect on what we all know. You know it, I know it. They're trying very hard to make out the Republicans to be the bad guys. Now, the Republicans have their issues, and I've mentioned their issues before. But when we see these blatant contradictions happening and playing out in real time, okay, we have to call it out.
But was he calling to talk about the government shutdown?
I mean, you could say that was in the ballpark, but it was a private conversation that will remain private. However, nothing meaningful came out of it. Again, because Donald Trump has not given Mike Johnson permission to enter into a bipartisan negotiation. Caitlin, I mean, House Republicans have been literally on vacation for the last 5 weeks. They've canceled votes 5 consecutive weeks in a row. They are uninterested in doing anything other than jamming their partisan Republican spending bill down the throats of the American.
That's not true. First off, you guys sent everyone on holiday by shutting down the government. Second of all, the Republicans have called for 12 votes at least, maybe more. And you guys have voted not to reopen the government every single time. So can't you see the contradiction to this statement? Now, even if you're a Democrat, okay, you don't silence your conscience. I mean, the voice of your conscience right now is screaming out loud, saying to you, there's something wrong, he's lying, okay, and he needs to tell the truth. They have to reopen the government, but they don't want to because they see this as leverage. Remember, Obama said you shouldn't hold the American people hostage, but that's exactly what the Democrats have been doing.
People, and as Democrats, we've made clear, we will not support a partisan Republican spending bill that continues to gut the health care of the American people. Period. Full stop.
All right, but it wasn't a Republican spending bill. It was a continuing resolution bill. That means what you guys have been doing all the way from the Biden administration carried forward. And this same spending bill was voted on earlier in the year. So they didn't put in anything foreign from what you guys wrote into the continuing resolution before President Trump took office. They depend on the ignorance of the American people, of the global population. counting me. They think that if they tell enough lies, say enough things, look into the camera and look outraged, we will believe that they are not the problem, but that the Republicans are the problem. The CR, the continuing resolution, is a Democrat spending bill. There's nothing in there. Now, let's watch this other representative claim that the CR has Republican bloat included in it, and watch her fall flat on her face.
They did have a clean CR vote on September 19th in the House. Did you vote for it?
I disagree with your characterization and want to make sure that we're very clear about what Republicans have been doing. Any bill that they've put forth, they've always had some extra stuff to it. There's always been a poison pill to it. So I disagree with your characterization.
She's trying to say that this bill has a poison pill. It hasn't been touched. That's why it's called a clean CR. Is a clean CR. Nothing was included. It's a spending bill to keep government open, to keep government workers, federal workers paid. Nothing was added by the Republicans. She's trying to claim that a clean CR has additional fat included by the Republican Party. If it had additional fat included, it wouldn't be a clean CR. And you see how she's trying very hard to dodge the question and make it look like the Republicans are the problem. That's what the Democrats have been doing.
Poison pills of the clean CR, or the continuing resolution, you say it's not clean, that was voted on in the House in mid-September.
Here's what's important. I think what you're trying to do is shift the responsibility to Democrats.
No. What you're trying to do is shift the responsibility to the Republicans. The clean CR is a product of the Democrat-led government. It's just being carried forward. All right? You watching right now, okay? If this is exactly what it is, why should the Democrats continue to keep the government closed? All right? I'm going to ask you that question, so let me know in the comment section. Now, to answer the question on the contents of the CR and why the Democrats have been pushing back on reopening the government and accepting the CR, we have the White House spokesperson, Caroline Leavitt, explaining exactly what the Democrats have been trying to do. And she does it in just a couple of minutes.
In the United States of America.
I'm not denying anything. I'm asking you if you can explain the disconnect in the message.
I most certainly can. The Democrats' proposal, their continuing resolution, let me just reiterate, the Republicans' continuing resolution was a clean continuing resolution. There was no partisan politics injected into it. There were no conservative wish lists injected to it. What the Republicans want and still want to this very second is a clean continuing resolution to fund the United States government. What did the Democrats want in their continuing resolution? They inserted a provision to undo a provision in the Working Families Tax Cut, the One Big Beautiful Bill, that ended taxpayer-funded health care illegal benefits for illegal aliens. Democrats' proposal would require Medicaid to pay more for emergency care provided to illegal aliens than Medicaid does for American patients who are disabled, elderly, or children. And this bill would have also allowed California to continue a gimmick that funds its Medicaid for illegals program.
So essentially, the Democrats wanted to increase spending on non-citizens more than the government should normally spend on actual citizens of the United States. Is this what you voted for, Democrats? Is this what you voted for? Is this what you voted for? Did you vote for the government to take care of foreigners better than they take care of you? Did you vote for them to give them better health care than they do your grandfather who is in the ER or who is in hospital care? Let me know in the chat if that's what you voted for, if you're a Democrat watching this. If you're a Republican, I mean, this, yes, it justifies the fact that the Republican Party is on the right side and so on. But it also means that we also need to educate ourselves on some of the statements being made from the pulpit, or not pulpit, but from the podium when the Democrats are giving their press conferences. They make these big, outlandish, and honestly outrageous claims saying that the Republican Party is trying to destroy healthcare for the American citizens, while at the same time they are the ones trying to increase spending above what, increase spending for illegal immigrants above what American citizens are getting. All right. Now, that should outrage every American citizen if this is true. All right. So do your own research. Okay. We've heard from the Democrats. They're trying to blame the Republicans. The press secretary is listing all of the things that they're asking for. And then in just a couple of minutes, she brings the receipts on some of the things that they have already done, and that, if they continue to do this, where would healthcare for regular Americans be? So let's listen.
Things that the Trump administration ended with the passage and the signage of the One Big Beautiful Bill. And it is an undisputed fact, that under the Biden administration, illegal aliens were absolutely receiving taxpayer-funded health care benefits. In fact, in fiscal year 2024, Medicaid costs for emergency services for illegal immigrants skyrocketed by 142% from the previous year to $9.1 billion. That's $9.1 billion taxpayer dollars that were going to emergency services for illegals. Between President Trump's last full fiscal year under his first administration and Joe Biden's last full fiscal year, Medicaid spending on emergency services for illegal immigrants nearly tripled. There was an increase of 196% between 2020 and 2024. And I have a chart here for you, and I'm more than happy to email it to you. I'd also like to add, because some were asking dishonest questions yesterday about emergency rooms. In Southern California, according to healthcare professionals in 2023, under the Biden administration, Southern California's, quote, entire healthcare system was being bombarded with illegal immigrants and forcing American patients to endure longer wait times. In Denver, Colorado, the CEO of Denver Health stated that 8,000 illegal immigrants made 20,000 visits to the city's health system in 2023, leaving an uncompensated bill totaling over $10 million.
I mean, these are things that actually happened under the Biden administration. The One Big Beautiful Bill took care of this waste, fraud, and abuse. The Democrats want to bring it back. That's what this whole fight is about. So let me know in the comments if you think that the Democrats deserve the $1 trillion that they're asking for. And do you believe that they are telling the truth, that the Republican Party isn't interested in reopening the government, when the Republicans have called for over 12 votes to reopen the government, and the Democrats have voted it down every single time? So let me know what you think in the comment section. Now, if you've been watching the ICE protests, or what I'll call the ICE riots that have been happening in Portland, and then the most recent outbreak in Chicago, you'll be familiar with a video where a woman who was obstructing ICE vehicles and blocking them was picked up by an ICE officer and tossed out of the way, and she wound up landing on her butt. The lady on the right is that woman, and the federal government brought a lawsuit. Okay, they are prosecuting her for obstructing federal law enforcement, and she's making a media tour to say how the fascist government of Donald Trump is silencing dissent. So she shows up on this podcast, and it didn't go very well.
The indictment alleges that you and others, quote, surrounded a federal officer's vehicle, banged on its hood and windows, etched pig on the side, and impeded movement. Did you etch the word pig on the side of an officer's car?
I'm not speaking to the specifics of anything that's in the indictment right now, but like I said, I do plan on pleading not guilty, and the evidence will come out in court. And
I don't know how people do this. I don't know how people just look in the camera and lie. There's videos of her doing all the things that she's being prosecuted for. So it's humorous that we see the politicians do it on both sides, Democrats and Republicans, but mostly the Democrats do this. They stand in front of the camera, they lie, and then when the evidence comes out, they double down. When they can't escape it, they try to take the position of the victim.
I plan on winning.
Okay, well, let's watch the video of what happened that day that they are.
So there she is. Oh, there she is. there she is. She plans on pleading not guilty. So who was this? A clone? Was that a clone?
When you see that, what do you think right now?
Tara, once again, this is my first time being federally indicted. Like I said,
Yeah.
I plan on pleading not guilty. The evidence will come out in court, and I plan on winning. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
She literally
Just
took
really
off.
quickly, I did want to ask you about just the fact that conspiracy
She's gone.
to impede an officers up to 6 years in prison, forcibly impeding and intimidating
She's gone.
officers up to 8 years. Is that
She's talking to herself.
that could actually hinder your ability to serve in Congress? Are you concerned about that?
She's gone. She's gone.
Did she just sign off?
Yeah, she did. Sorry, guys. Just give me a second. Just give me a second. So this is what leftists do. When they get caught in a lie, they just disappear. They run away. When you find out that they're telling a lie and you present them with evidence, they run away. It's just crazy. Okay? So she's being federally indicted for what we saw, on camera. There's evidence of her obstructing federal law enforcement, banging on federal property, and she's being prosecuted for that. And she says that she plans on pleading not guilty. You can't say you're not guilty when there's evidence out there that shows that you did exactly what you're being accused of doing. She was caught red-handed. So let me know in the comment section, okay, your thoughts, because there are many people out there that are being captured right now and federally indicted for their activities over the last few months with the people who attacked federal agents in California. One person has been arrested and is going to be arraigned. There's also her being indicted and many other people. She will continue to visit left-leaning outlets where they would allow her to spew all of her misinformation and the things that she wants left-leaning individuals to hear. And she's going to tell them, look, Trump is prosecuting or persecuting people who don't agree with him. He's a fascist. And people who want to hear that narrative are going to agree with her. They're going to say, yes, speak on, sister. In the chat, I was watching the video, and in the chat, there are people there who are encouraging her, that they're behind her. So the evidence is very clear that she did exactly what she's being indicted for. And we're going to be looking out to see how that case pans out. All right. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. And again, concerning other people who obstructed federal law enforcement like she did, because she's a visible public figure. She's running for office. And now she's being prosecuted for breaking the law. Should the government equally prosecute other people who, just like her, obstructed federal law enforcement? Let's know your thoughts in the chat or in the comment section. Keep the chat coming. I will be responding to the chat at the end of the series of stories that we're covering. So just keep them coming. I am going to respond to everything. So even while you're chatting and I'm not responding like I usually do, we're going to just take them at the end of this live stream. Now, a teacher decided that instead of teaching math and science and composition and grammar, she decided that she was going to teach Trump hatred. One moment. All right, sorry guys. Let's get on with my wife called, and when your wife calls, you have to answer. So this teacher decides that she wants to go on an anti-Trump rant in the middle of class instead of teaching math, science, and grammar. So let's listen to her, and I would like us to talk about whether we want our children radicalized by elementary school teachers or high school teachers or middle school teachers for or against any political candidate. To be honest, this would be music to the ears of anyone who hates Donald Trump. But should any of us want the teachers in school indoctrinating our kids politically, or should they just stick to teaching the curriculum? Okay, math, science, grammar, life skills, not politics. So let's listen to this rant, because when you hear it being said, it's like, did it actually happen? Well, we're going to watch it.
I hate Donald Trump. I'm going to say it. I don't care what y'all think. Trump sucks. What's wrong with Trump? He's a sexual predator. He's a literal moron. Go tattle on me to the freaking admin. They don't give a crap. No, he is not. What are you talking about? Turn off the Fox News. Do your parents listen to Fox News? So what?
All right, so she asked, do your parents listen to Fox News? Turn off the Fox News. A lot of these teachers are going out of their way to force kids not to listen to their parents' convictions. Look, I don't care what the parents' convictions are. If the parents want their kids to have a certain belief system, as long as it's not breaking the law, all right, it's not illegal to vote for a Democrat. I'm sure that there are people who love Hakeem Jeffries. He's, to them, the second coming of Obama. Is it against the law for them to want to vote for Hakeem Jeffries? No. Should I hate them for loving and voting for Hakeem Jeffries? No. Should I say to them they're low information voters who don't actually pay attention to what's going on and they are voting wrong, therefore they are wrong or they should be ostracized? Or if they have kids, their children should be indoctrinated not to have the same convictions as their parents? No. I don't agree with that. Teachers' jobs are to teach the kids. Now, she's since lost her job. And of course, it's going to be seen as someone is attacking her freedom of speech. No, you're being paid to do a certain job. And instead of doing that job, you opted to try to indoctrinate other people's kids. If she has kids, she can go ahead and teach her kids how to be a certain way. There are videos online of parents who are teaching their kids to hate Donald Trump, to hate conservatives and Republicans, and hey, it's up to them. Where they cross the line is where they begin to actually carry out actions to harm people who believe or vote a certain way. So what do you think? Should this teacher have been fired? Most of us here have kids. All right. Based on the demographic that I speak to, most of us here have kids. Do you want these teachers indoctrinating your children and telling them, no matter what your belief system is, okay, you could be a Muslim. Okay, I'm a Christian, you're a Muslim. You could be a Muslim. Do you want a teacher in school standing in front of the classroom and instead of teaching math and science, they are trying to indoctrinate your kids? Again, let's have an honest answer, because usually what tends to happen is the people who believe like she does will say, why are you firing her? That's an infraction on her First Amendment right. Freedom of speech. Okay, no, she's being paid to do a certain job. She should stick to the program. Now, the same would be true if this teacher is speaking out against a certain politician and is saying the things that she did. She called Donald Trump certain names that I can't even repeat on YouTube. So let me know in the comments section if you like this happening in the classrooms with your kids, or whether you think that teachers should stick with math and science, and anyone who tries to indoctrinate anyone's kids should be out of a job. If they want to be political activists, they shouldn't be teachers. They should go sign up with the RNC or the DNC as activists and be paid by those organizations to do that. She's being paid to educate kids, right? So, well, that's my opinion, all right? And if you would notice, I want common sense to rule. When I was in elementary school, my teachers, who in essence were from a different country, stuck with math and science. We had teachers of different tribes, Nigerian tribes, who didn't stand in front of the classroom and belittle any tribe. Their job was to teach the curriculum. Anyone who decides to do that should be fired. That's my opinion, but let me know your opinion in the comment section. And don't forget, I will be covering the comments in the end, at the end of all these stories that we're covering. All right, we're cutting it close. Joe Rogan begins to break down some of the things that we know happened over the last 4 years. One of the things that we noticed was the Democrats pitched a certain story, but it was very convenient for them to avoid backing it up with the fact that they also had issues on their own side. Joe Rogan is pointing out a few contradictions, and let's have a listen and then we will react to it. Hey, Tone, we will be answering comments at the end. So, Tone, keep your comments coming.
That no one who should be in a position of leadership wants that. And most of these people that could be effective in a position of leadership because they've led things before, whether it's businesses or what have you, they just don't want to have anything to do with it. It's just a horrible attack on your character. They don't play fair. They lie. They'll get people to say things that aren't true. They'll concoct stories. They'll put things out there with the aid of the intelligence community, like the Russia collusion agenda, like that thing. And then they get all the media that's on the left on board, and then they just repeat this mantra over and over: Russia collusion, Russia collusion.
Now, Joe Rogan is not a Republican. He's not a Republican. He's a libertarian. I think right now he's more independent than libertarian. And he's calling out both sides. During his interviews, he does a great job of not being partisan. He calls out success when he sees it. He says the things he likes. But then again, he calls out BS when BS shows up. And that's really why a lot of Democrat leadership do not go to his show, because he will ask them questions. He will ask them questions that no one else in mainstream media will dare ask, because they are the access media. They will treat a certain personality well so that that personality will validate their presence or their organization by showing up next time. They know that if they push back too hard on any politician, that they risk that politician not wanting to come back anymore, and then ostracizing that politician's base from watching their show. So they try to pander more to left-leaning, politicians and audiences. But those people will not come to the Joe Rogan experience, because Joe has established himself as a middle-of-the-ground person. He's in the middle. He doesn't push any agenda, whether it's for the left or the right. If you go to his show and you happen to come out smelling like a rose, good on you. Donald Trump went to his show just before the elections and he came out smelling like a rose, and it helped his numbers during the election. Kamala Harris was invited. She refused to go because Joe Rogan would not have done what most left-leaning outlets would do, glazing over her, praising her, and giving her softball questions. He would have essentially done what they all should have been doing, and she refused to go. And guess what happened during the elections? She lost by a landslide. Okay, Donald Trump says he won by a landslide, and when you flip it, Kamala Harris lost by a landslide as well. So whenever we kind of look at Joe Rogan's his interviews, it's really good. Like, I want to be as middle of the road as he is with calling out the left and the right. I am a conservative already. I am a conservative, but I am not I am not a lefty. I'm not a righty. I am a conservative. Any one of these that matches their policies to policies I believe in, okay, if they have a greater percentage of policies that line up with my belief system, then I vote for that party. That's basically what I will do. Okay, now let's listen to the rest of this interview, because he's going to be naming names.
And then they'll pretend that they didn't say that he never won the election. Right. They pretend that they didn't question the election. They'll pretend that Hillary Clinton didn't do multiple speeches where she said that the election was stolen. Yeah. He's not a legitimate president. Russia stole the election with no evidence. Yeah. But when he questions the election, it's a threat to democracy. Right. Exactly. It's just so convenient. And we live in this bizarre news cycle where there's information is coming at you so fast, you kind of forget about what the thing you were mad about 2 days ago that could affect the rest of the country for decades. Right. And you're just on to the next.
Yeah, and honestly, I find that disturbing, because those things that could affect the country and the world continue happening under the covers. And I hope we can be people who kind of, let's use the word or the term, stay awake. We stay awake to what's going on around us. We stay awake to the things that they're trying to hide from us. Because when we say, hey, what's going on over there? If the response is, oh, you're a bigot, you know that you're touching a raw spot. They are trying to hide this. They're trying to keep this from us. They want to pass something that's going to take away our freedoms. I mean, those are the signals. Once you begin to say, look, this is what I believe, and they begin to insult you and try to shame you, you're on the right track. Okay, you're on the right track. Same goes for the left and on the right. I've seen people on the right attempt to shame you from asking real questions. They like, I'm sorry, where are you from again? Where are you from again? Okay, because it's like you're asking questions that they're uncomfortable answering. All right, so so let me know your thoughts on Joe Rogan's comments, because we all saw it happening for 4 years. A bunch of us didn't feel free enough to call them out or say anything about it. Some of us don't have platforms where we can say our thoughts. I'm giving you my platform. Put your comments in the comment section. I'm going to read it out at the end of the story sequences, and we're going to talk about your thoughts on these stories that we've covered. And when you put in your comments, okay, do your best to kind of tie it to the segment that we're discussing, because it'll be great for us to be able to kind of dive into these different segments. Now, there are a few other stories that we've talked about, but we did say yesterday that we were going to kind of start talking or responding to the comment section at the 40-minute mark, and we're close to the 40-minute mark. So we're going to start looking into the comment section, and I'm going to read the chat, and I'm going to read comments from the website or from YouTube videos that we've published, which tie into a lot of the things that we have already covered. So I'm going to go into the comment section and respond to your comments. This is amazing. Excuse me. All right. Something really weird just happened to my setup. All right. Now, before I jump into the comment section, I want to thank those of you who had the courage to post into the chat. Those of you who are still watching who haven't posted your thoughts, please go ahead and post your thoughts. We're going through the comments in the chat. Then I'll read through the comment section. While I'm reading through the comment section, feel free to talk about your thoughts on some of the comments that are coming out of the comment section, because it's amazing what happens in the comment section. Now, before I jump into the chat, please consider subscribing to the channel. If you don't see me call you, now what's the word? If you don't see me, not call you out sounds negative. Amazing. Chris Spear, thank you so much for subscribing. All right, now that's what I want to talk about. If you subscribed and you don't see the notification pop up on the screen, type in the comments section, in the live chat, I just subscribed. I want to recognize you. All right, thank you, Chris, for subscribing. There are a few people who subscribed a few days back, so let me just do a call out. All right, I'm going to do a call out of everyone who subscribed. And I don't know if this was a delayed notification. So I'm just going to call up the people who subscribed after Lisa subscribed. So Lisa subscribed yesterday during the show, and I recognized her. So Lisa, thank you for subscribing. KFL, thank you for subscribing. KFL. Thank you, Jody Graham. Jody Graham, thank you for subscribing. Then Super Manners. Super Manners, thank you for subscribing. And then we have Miraviro CBC, I guess that's what it says. Thank you for subscribing. And then Chris, thank you for subscribing. So thank you so much for supporting the channel this way. It helps us out. It's encouraging that when we create content like this, it resonates with people. We create these shows to kind of give a well-balanced take on the news. I watch content, and the content that seems to do well, especially for younger people, is content with a lot of outrage, anger, argument. It's nice and sexy, but honestly, do you really need your heart rate to go higher than it already is? We don't want more outrage. We don't want more angry people out there. We want more thoughtful, level-headed conversation. And that's what I want us to have in the chat. So please be courageous. Let's know your thoughts in the chat. Any story that resonates with you, let's know your thoughts in the chat. And then I'm about to go into the chat to respond to the comments that have already been made. All right. So Tara says, it's really funny how the tables turn. Same scenario, different narratives, referring to, I guess, the conversation, the video we played of Obama complaining about what the Republicans did by shutting down the government. Now, were the Republicans right to shut down the government? No. And that's one of the reasons why Donald Trump happened. The Republicans were just acting out. They were throwing tantrums. They didn't have a solution to what the Democrats were doing. And that is what gave Donald Trump the opportunity to step up. And he won the election. He blew every candidate out of the water because they were all playing the same old game that, that was basically a useless activity. So he came up and he won the primary, won the election. So Obama is saying what everyone should be saying. Democrats, reopen the government. You can't hold the American people hostage because you want something. Change the law if that's what you want, but you need to open the government. So I will agree with that sentiment, and I hope the Democrats watch that video and take their own advice. She took off. Yeah, the lady who took off when she was pushed back. Look, if you have a conviction and there's evidence, here's what I believe. I believe that we should all live our lives as if there's a camera following us everywhere we go, and there's someone recording everything we say. So whatever we're doing, we should be ready to defend that thing or own up to that thing whenever we're called out on it. So what she tried to do is she tried to do what they accuse Republicans of doing or conservatives of doing, which is they say you are trying to rewrite history. She was lying in real time. She was lying and saying, look, I'm going to plead not guilty, I'm innocent. And then they play the evidence that shows she's guilty, and then she takes off. And I think we should look for evidence too. Like whenever we're having conversations with people and they're like, hey, Trump is evil. And I'm like, okay, you should ask for evidence. How is he evil? Where's the evidence that shows he is evil? Because they can't attack him on policy. They can only attack him on things that they assume they can defend. Why do you hate Donald Trump? He's a racist. How has he been racist? This week, I've played several videos that showed he's not racist. We're going to read a comment if we get to it. We have a lot of comments to get through. We're going to read comments where people saw the evidence of Trump supporting black businesses, and they basically had a meltdown in the comment section. Tone says he's the middle. I guess he's speaking of Joe Rogan. Yeah, Joe Rogan is in the middle. And I would say he's non-partisan. He's non-partisan. He supports policies. He's a policy guy too. He supports policies that help his children, help the future of the planet, but he doesn't support policies that would be destructive. And his interview format is the aim of a lot of people. People look at Joe Rogan and like, we really want to be like him, and he's really done a good job of staying in the middle and trying to be non-political. Mainstream media has essentially tried to make him a political figure, but when you listen to his content, no, he's not. He's just being a common sense American. Tara agrees that yes, he's in the middle. Shouldn't that be the best place to be politically? Tone is saying, for most future voters. Then move every cycle to the side that tells the truth. I agree with that. And that's why I say I am non-partisan. I am not Republican or Democrat. I am not a liberal or conservative. The official conservative party of most countries is not conservative. All right, so let me just say I'm independent, but my values are conservative. So that's the best place to be. All right, you don't pledge allegiance to any movement, because movements get hijacked. People who don't hold to the values of those movements creep in for profit, and they take over and change the dynamics of those movements. Like I said, there are many parties in the world that call themselves conservative, but when you look at the values and the policies that they push, they aren't conservative. Tone says, I wonder how many closet MAGA conservative voters are in California and New York that are afraid and don't want to be revealed. There are many. During the election cycle last year, there were many people who were asked who they were voting for, and they said they would rather not say. Every single person who said they would rather not say was going to vote for Donald Trump. That because the only people who were concerned about what their neighbors or their co-workers would think about who they voted for were people who were voting Republican or for Donald Trump. Because they were the ones being attacked, cancelled. They were the ones who were being called names. If you wore a MAGA hat and walked down the streets of New York, the chances that you were going to be confronted and attacked or insulted by someone who believed that they were doing the world a net good by attacking you, was very high. So you would rather just want to mind your business, because conservatives just want to mind their business. Go. We have a bunch of comments, and let me know your thoughts in the chat when we read these comments. I would love to know what you think. All right. All right. So let's read the comments from the sorry. Now this is from the video that we chats coming. Keep the chats coming. Once I'm done with going through the comment section, and then we'll be wrapping up. Churches used to fill the gap with food and medical. We got a mess since government took over. Now we have be temporary and be paid assistance. Said this. Talking about the same story. Box. He's responsible. Snap. See, how can you call the US wealthy when we are 37 trillion in? Day would come, Freedom Fred said. And that's true, because people think that the US should continue spending indiscriminately and supporting undocumented or illegal migrants. $7 trillion of debt, and there's interest on that debt that is being paid. So when I see people push for more funding to go into these programs or projects to allow bloat in the budget, it's concerning. And most of us run families, we run homes, and we know that we can't live above who live in accessible. You can afford to, like Nigeria, we don't below your means. Very. So right now, there's a hole that is being dug in the American, economy, and people don't know how bad it is. Elon partnered with Donald Trump because he knew how bad it was. If the American system collapses, it's going to affect every business. Everyone is going to be affected. Not, people talk about the billionaires. The billionaires are the ones who are more afraid, because if the American economy goes belly up, the valuation of their billions or millions dies. And that's why most of them are moving their assets into precious metals,